Irwin here, coming from the Sacred You community, and welcome to everyone watching and my fantastic guests, my amazing guests who are here today with us to share their expertise and on what is mindfulness. And it's a big topic, and it's a very important topic in how we implement that into the area of our lives. And I am going to introduce each of our panelists individually so you can get to know them. First of all, we've got Christine Sullivan. If you can give us a wave, Christine. Hi, Christine is a qualified hypnotherapist, psychotherapist, and weight loss wellness coach. And she helps women who are struggling with stress, chronic illness, and to find more joy and confidence. And thank you for joining us, Christine. I'm excited to hear your journey as well. And the next we have Sondra Harper. Now, Sondra is all the way from Colorado, and she's a meditation teacher, facilitator, artist, and author. And her latest book, The Four Attitudes, The Alchemy of Opening Heart and a Calm Mind, sounds fascinating. It's not just another self-help book. It's a testament of her 2 decades of consistent meditation practice and study. And through it, she shares the transformative power of friendliness, compassion, non-judgment, and joy. And these aren't just words. They are life-changing. They are life-changing attitudes made approachable for every individual. And her passion lies in teaching others art, ensuring that they find tranquility and purpose in every breath. Teaching this art, I should say. Mm-hmm. And then we have Targa Loss. And Targa, thank you for coming. Targa rebuilt her life and her finances in her 50s after recovering from an aggressive form of breast cancer. And you'll also be surprised that, to hear that the financial ruin that happened to her happened even after 15 years in her banking experience. And after a career pivot, Targa now draws from her own lived experience, building a professional practice over the last 2 decades, following work experience as a senior practitioner of financial coaches at an Australian NFP organisation, non-for-profit organisation, a certified money and business coach, a Jay Shetty life and business coach, love Jay Shetty, trauma of money practitioner and facilitator, getting to the root cause of the issues. So Targa has helped hundreds of families to achieve financial stability from scratch, and she'll share her inspiring story through the professional development, motivational speaking engagements, and collaborations. So welcome, Targa. Awesome. And last but not least, we have the beautiful Denise Blackney. And hi, Denise. Denise is a vibrational healer, energy coach who supports people to feel and self-heal so they can too experience their true desires and thrive in all areas of their life. So thank you, ladies. I'm excited about this conversation with you today. And if you feel called, please, and I haven't shared exactly what you do, please feel free to open your mics and share with the audience who you are. Otherwise, we'll just dive straight into the amazing questions we have for you today. So, first one up, what is mindfulness? Okay, so how would you define mindfulness in your own words, and what does it mean to you personally? Now, you can either jump in, or I will choose somebody to kick us off with that question. Who'd like to jump in?
I'm happy to jump in.
Okay, Christina, thank you.
Break the ice. Well, I guess traditionally mindfulness is referred to as being present and observing thoughts and bodily sensations such as feelings in a non-judgmental way. Yeah, that's what we believe mindfulness is, the definition. But I don't know about you, when I observe my thoughts and feelings, sometimes I go, what the hell was that? Where did that come from? That thought, whoa, and, things come up in your body, your feelings, pain, whatever. Not always easy to be non-judgmental. So from a hypnotherapist perspective, doing change work with my clients, I want them to observe their thoughts and feelings and acknowledge and accept them. But if they were non-judgmental, then they might not want to change them. They might not actually be listening to the message that's coming from them. So professionally and personally, mindfulness is really for me about developing conscious awareness, bringing these things from the subconscious mind to conscious awareness and shining a light on them. So, anything that's in the subconscious mind is there because it's been done with repetition. You perform an action repetitively, it becomes remembered by your body, it's embodied. You don't have to think about driving the car, for example. Similarly, when you have a thought repetitively, it becomes a belief. And beliefs are what form our values drive our behaviours, and our behaviour forms our outcomes. So if you're getting outcomes that you don't want, then you want to become aware of the thoughts that are resulting in the outcomes and scrutinise them. Where did they come from? What are they trying to tell you? So I guess for me, it's becoming aware of your thoughts as a catalyst for change.
Yeah, that's so beautiful and interesting. You talk about the non-judgment. Well, it's innate that we all judge, right? It's just part of us, and that part of us that's subconscious that does that. So I love that you bring in that piece of, non-judgment, but it's until we see it and really judge it, we cannot really have awareness of it and change it.
Acknowledge that they're there and accept that they're there, but what is the message that they're giving
you? And digging deeper, and through probably what will come out through the conversation is that part of that self-inquiry, isn't it? That self-observation and in that process. So thank you, Christina. That was wonderful. And I just realized I didn't actually introduce myself, but I think I'll come back to that later, and we'll keep moving with the question. How about we'll jump, Denise, would you like to jump in there and share?
Yeah, absolutely. Mindfulness is awareness, and when you think of our life is that it's like a picture theatre. We're always playing out roles. And my awareness of the roles I play and how I play them is mindfulness is going, okay, where do they come from for me? What is the causal of how I behave this way, or what's causing the actions that I take today? And with my healing, I always take us on a journey, on a thread back to the causal of that action that I take today. So it's a mindfulness of, okay, where does that play out in my life? Because everything I action today is been already actioned in my younger life. So whether it's traumatic, whether it's fabulous, whether I take it on as something that I love doing, something that stops me from doing. So it's that awareness of going, oh, okay, I've got to go back and really look at that. And it's never about the circumstances or the story that's played out. It's about the feeling. Mindfulness is all about, how do I feel about this? How am I feeling that it's a beautiful day today? What's my action for that? I'm bright, I'm happy, I'm loving life. And if it's a cloudy day, we react to that as well, don't we? So mindfulness is going, okay, how am I feeling about everything? What is my awareness around that? And there's always that thread to the causal of. And that's where the uncovering is, to actually heal yourself, to heal yourself at the causal, to heal yourself here and now. Yeah.
Oh,
and that's just the total awareness of your inner self.
Yeah, absolutely. And always finding those gifts in that moment as well as an opportunity to heal and bring yourself back to that present moment, because we can't find them until we are in that present, right? So that's a really beautiful feeling, is such a beautiful part of it, because we're feeling beings, aren't we? Essentially.
Yeah, everything is on feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when we smell something, we feel the juiciness of that, or the sweetness of that, or the darkness of that. We feel. Our reaction is to feel.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Denise. That's beautiful. All righty, let's hear from Sandra, all the way from Colorado.
Hello. So mindfulness it can be described as, it has many facets. It can be meditation, it can be imagery. I really think and practice mindfulness as a way of being present to what is unfolding in my life, whether it's internal or external, and being aware in a way that is compassionate, not like earlier, I think that Christina said non-judging, right? Allowing whatever comes forward to be with what is. So mindfulness, as I teach through Vishoka meditation, actually can be our breathing too. We can become fully present to what is present now. So I'm also trained in NLP, and I'm an ANLP coach, and I am also IFC certified. So what I work with my clients on too is working through some of what may be occurring in their mind, and then like causing feelings or sensations that they're uncomfortable with. So being aware of it without judging it, and allowing it in a way almost as if it's like a screen and it's playing out, and we're gonna watch it in present state. So yeah, I love practicing mindfulness, and I think there's so many wide varieties of doing it. It's not just one way. There's so many ways.
Yeah, and we'll get into that in the next question. I'm excited for that bit. But I do love that, watching it as playing out as a movie, and the element of sensation, because yes, it's not always, feeling is a sensation, right? But it's how you receive that information too, isn't it? In that moment. Yeah, I love that. Okay, let's call on Tara now, the money coach.
I'm sitting here and my head is nodding. It's about to fall off. Right. So I'm going to just add value here simply because these amazing souls have really hit some amazing things here. I know what it's not, and it's not what I used to do in my corporate life and just going on tapes, right? And so if you're just starting your journey into this mindfulness, you might start to think, oh, that's a whole lot of woo-woo stuff. This is actually proven, scientifically proven, that when we understand the link between being triggered, when we're not mindful, there's a certain part of our brain that flips out of action. And it happens to be that part of our brain that we need to make decisions. So when it comes to money, if you're spending out of control, if you're out there in Easter running around trying to get all these Easter eggs because you've been caught up in this tape of marketing that says your Easter should look a certain way, that's the opposite. That's when we're being drawn by other tapes that are going on very deep in our system. And for me, mindfulness is that those moments when we notice, this is interesting, what's happening? And we get to drop into the real wisdom that is actually held in our body. So if our body's protecting us from something that happened when we were a child, we're probably going into a triggered state. I don't feel worthy. So as a mum, I feel like I haven't made all the right decisions, but I'll make up for that for this Easter, and I will get all of these things. I don't have the money for it, but there is actually a thing called afterpay. So I'll start racking up those. And for me, not being mindful is allowing someone else to sit in the driver's seat of your bus, right? And so mindfulness is about for me in practical terms. And I did it this morning. Like, I get really nervous before. It doesn't matter how often I do these things, my system starts to, go off and go, oh, no one's going to believe you. No one's going to even listen to you. What is your... And I get mindful with that, and I drop into it. Oh, that's the young part of me that was judged when I was 5 years old. So it's just those little moments that we get to go, oh, what's happening here? Who's sitting in the driver's seat?
Yeah, wow. I absolutely love that too. It's like it's all sort of being blended into what everybody's saying, but you've just added that next layer of tapping into those old patterns of behavior, the defaults that we go to when we're not feeling good enough, when we're feeling outside of ourselves and all of society's expectations, and oh my goodness, and how we are programmed and to go that way. So very, very significant and important point. And I wonder if I could just get you to tag on to that. Before I do, I will just say, for me, I'm also trained in NLP and hypnosis, and been 40 years odd in the wellness, health and wellness industry, and spirituality. So I bring all of those plates into my work as an emotional energetic healer. I work with frequencies as well. So that's a little bit about me. So this conversation and the fact that we're all here together in this conversation, not having any idea of what all of you did, is really beautiful. And yeah, so with that next question, Targa, can you give some practical techniques or exercises that individuals can cultivate mindfulness into their lives? And you did that a little bit when you said you actually gives you an opportunity to go back in and question that. That's beautiful. So could you add to that?
Yeah, 100%. And I'll do it from the perspective of spending and money, because that's the space that I sit in. But the analogy that I use, and we often teach our clients to ask themselves, is, whose shame is that? So when we do have a judgment, because there is a judgment, it's really, the narrative that don't judge, there's a judgment that's occurred there somewhere, right? So we get to ask the question, whose judgment, whose shame is that? Where does that judgment come from? And it could be, from society, it could be parents, it could be systemic. There's so many different things that have contributed to that. And for some of us, we won't know where that's come from, but it's just understanding that your system's held it in there somehow. So just like, my beautiful co-people here that are talking about it, there are ways we get to choose how we resource ourselves. And it could be just, I know with my husband and I, when we know that we're triggered in our spending, we'll go, let's just go grab a coffee, right? Yeah. Let's just go and do the self-intervention. I'll catch myself in a cart with a card ready to put something in. And then because I have the shiny object syndrome that says, I need to have that new software. I need to have that new phone. And I'll catch myself, even after 2 decades of doing this work. But that's the muscle that I've built, is that I'm okay with that. I can step back, buy myself time. So time and space are two really key resources that all of us have access to.
Yeah, so beautiful. I mean, it's about always being, with the piece that you brought in earlier, the ladies brought in, was awareness. Like, you've trained that muscle to be aware when you do those things that are not essentially who you are, and that it's been conditioned that way. So yes, that's an amazing little tip there. So being aware of when you are actually doing those behaviors that are not conducive of what you really want, or have been programmed into. So thank you, Targa. That's beautiful. What about Sandra? Pop in with a practical technique or exercise that people could use to cultivate mindfulness.
Their breathing. Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes we want it to be so difficult, and, complicated mind, complicated action. So simply breathing. And I use a technique called the 5 qualities of breath, which is it slow, deep, even, continuous, and silent?
Wow.
So just noticing your breathing, just what's going on with my breath. Because the breath can innervate between what's happening in the central nervous system, or even in the mind, or even what's playing out. And it can add that, I think Taga was just talking about that space. Breath can give space. It can give awareness, and it can also open the mind and calm the body down so that maybe you have just a minute, like even if something is really triggering for you, like, okay. So one thing I've done, I have a 2-story house, and on the landing, I've just started this new little practice. And when I step on the little landing that goes to the stairs down, I just take 3 breaths, and it's like, okay, I'm going to greet my day with 3 more breaths. And I bring myself back to these breathing breaks every day, like 2 or 3 times a day, just like what's going on with my breath. Because if you study your breathing, when you're in that state and you're not aware, or you're hyper vigilant, I'm wondering, like, what is your breath actually doing? Are you holding it in, on inhalation? Are you holding on exhale? Are you not breathing at all? So just breath is what I would say, return back to your breathing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's so important, isn't it? And I love that you called it breathing breaks. Like, it's an intention to have those breaks throughout the day. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions to any of these panelists today, please drop them into the comments, and we'll get to them, if not today, after the live. So, or if you have input, please share. So what about Christina? Do you have anything extra you could add to as practices or techniques, exercises?
Well, I'm agreeing with everything everyone said. It's a muscle, and the more you practice it, the better the stronger it will develop. Practicing the breathing regularly, not when you need it necessarily. Do it when you don't need it, so that it becomes a tool that you'll fall back on when you do need it. But stillness, just sitting still, because so often we're caught up in our day and we don't listen to, we have a thought and we go, oh, whatever. But when you sit still and you start to listen to the thoughts that are coming up, or the physical sensations that are coming up, your subconscious mind is bringing them up to you because it wants you to be aware of them. So have some pen and paper next to you, write down something that keeps coming up. Then you can decide what to do with that. Drop into it, scrutinize it, whatever. But just becoming aware is of the messages by being still, practicing the breathing. I totally agree with the breathing. Breathing changes everything. We know that.
So. Absolutely. It slows down the whole nervous system, doesn't it? And gets you back into that moment of presence. And opens your heart as well, for me at least.
And the subconscious mind is the involuntary part of us. 95% of us is involuntary, but breathing is a part of that involuntary process, but it's the only part that we have control of.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Thanks, Christina, and love that. Denise, did you want to add anything to that question of?
Yeah, totally love everybody's beautiful descriptions. And I suppose for me, what I teach a lot of my clients to do and to practice in their lives is again, it just comes back to your self-awareness, and that when you breathe, I love the breathing, taking that moment to breathe and actually feeling your body within that as well, feeling where those points are that something's stuck, and really considering asking the question, okay, so what's that trying to tell me? What's that twist in my back that I can feel, or that my wrist is really, it's stuck there, it's really stiff. What is that stiffness that's in my life? That mindfulness that our body is talking to us all the time. And when we take that time to be still, stop, breathe, that we take that moment to really listen to ourselves. And I suppose in today's society, where it's so fast-paced and so on the go, it's not like I have to take out a half an hour like Sandra said, is like just standing at the top of the stair, the flat, and taking those breaths, because you can still feel where your body's at, which is so beautiful. So it's comes back to that true awareness of knowing yourself intimately.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking that time to just stop and tune in, tap into the body. And often it's not until we harm ourselves or hurt ourselves or something happens and we are forced to stop. Like, let's do it as a practice for the prevention rather than the cure. And tapping into your body's wisdom, because it has information. It stores everything, doesn't it? Emotions.
Well, yeah, it's telling you, hey, listen, there's something going on here. You need to know.
Yep.
Because the pain's not going to go until you address it.
Yeah.
And we can mask it with everything else that the world has to offer, but at the end of the day, the pain's still there until I go, oh, that's why that is. Oh, okay, I'll redirect myself. Yeah.
Such a great practice. Absolutely. 100%. Thanks, Denise. So let's start. We're jumping into the third question. And in what ways can mindfulness be applied in professional settings, such as the workplace or educational institutions, to improve focus and productivity? And I absolutely love this, because I believe personally it should be part of the workplace practice for them to have something in place. So let's open it up to Sandra. Let's start with you.
So how do we practice mindfulness in the workplace?
Well, yeah, what ways can it be applied in professional settings and workplaces or educational institutions to improve focus and productivity?
Absolutely. I think that you can create clarity, not just through breathing, but also mindfully being aware of first of all, that you're in a structure with people, and that there are many different personalities and different belief systems that happen, and being aware that we all maybe are trying our best and doing our best. I just recently led a retreat called Alchemize Your Life. And one of the ways we did it, because these are all business professionals too that are there, is we got in a circle and we said, just like me, I worry about my children. Or just like me, I have things that bother me, or just like me, I don't like being judged. So understanding too mindfulness and bringing that to, we're all people, and we are all hopefully trying our best. And I think cultivating compassion and understanding, if you can't get to compassion, at least you can get to understanding that, we are doing something together, and we can have compassion for each other as we work towards a common goal.
Yeah.
And so I think productivity too, if we talked about productivity, some of that comes back to obviously organization and being mindful of what needs to be organized, but without trying to be like, okay, it's this thing, because that's some of the things I would say on how we can practice it, both in a work environment, is realizing we are all human. We're all trying to do our best, hopefully. And that maybe some of us have competing criteria, but we can still be aware that they are human and they're doing their best.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Because I love what you said, just like me. Well, we're all just like me, right? We all have the same feelings, emotions, needs, wants, desires, and challenges and struggles. So, I find that in group settings, most women are feeling exactly like the other person. So I love how you started that retreat. But Christina, can you add to that question, please?
Yeah, so I'll come from a little different perspective. Scientifically, there's been shown that mindfulness meditation helps to change the way the brain functions in terms of being able to have more control over that alpha rhythm of the brain, which helps you to block out distractions. which helps you to focus and process information more easily. So as a tool, it's worth having to be able to study, you know, for children, listening in class or in the workplace, especially if you're doing repetitive, boring tasks. You want to be able to just block out distractions, because that's when accidents can happen. So scientifically, it's been proven that it does change the brain function. So, yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. And just imagine a world, where mindfulness was part of the criteria, the education system, like, and our children, it was just an everyday thing, you know. And I know there are some schools that have it as a practice, and particularly once they reach if they start young, then they can take it into their high school years and already be, a part of their life, and start to retrain the brain to be in a place of calm, and now with technology, it sort of takes them away. A lot of that's been taken away from them being present, isn't it? So great point in the scientific evidence. And Targa, can you add to that, please?
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because when we go into the space of mindfulness and starting to shift out of corporate tapes, or working tapes, or society tapes, or whatever it is that you're where you're working, the interesting thing is the amount of courage it can take to be the change. And so what I found, even in the non-for-profit space, I would find a lot of my colleagues and team leaders and, even higher up the rank, were really resistant to having time out. So yeah, you can go to this EAP, this, employee assistance scheme, and go through that. And the interesting thing was, I realized I had to be the one that practiced that from the beginning. And so it was through my own example that I would affect the little bit of a ripple change. It didn't go all the way up, and that's okay. But the people that were interested, you seem so really calm, Tanga, after taking 20 crisis calls, or, what are you doing there? What's different? When we're all so triggered through a lot of the calls that come through, is to be that change. Okay, let's just do a bit of a breathing. That's what I do when I get off the call, is just start to notice through the call what's happening in your body. The mindfulness practice starts before you take the call, but even during the call. And that's just an example. When I was in a call center for crisis line, it's being that example, having that courage to know that if I do this for myself, there might be someone out there also that might be craving that energy of calmness.
Yeah, I love that. And you've got such a calm voice too. Beautiful. And the thing, it just came to me, landed for me there with you, was that we can be present in our listening. Like when you're listening to people, like how often do you hear something but you don't hear it? And then people then respond to what they think they hear, not exactly what they hear. Well, that's an example of being out of, alignment with that present moment in your head, rather than being present, listening to what that person is actually saying. So that's a really key point. And thank you for sharing that. Denise.
Yeah, love that. Love all of them. I'm always coming back to ourself. I'm always coming back to me. We want to be compassionate to everyone around us. Am I being compassionate to myself? Because it's, as you say, the change starts with me. I've got to be the change. So if I'm not showing compassion to myself, I can't show compassion to anybody else. If I'm not prepared to listen, no one's going to listen to me. So if I'm not going to be present, no one else is going to be present around me. So it's really coming back and owning your space, And by owning your space and owning how you want to go out into the world does have that ripple effect that everyone else will show up as themselves around you. So, and within the field of, you know, schools, and it's allowing us to be real, I suppose, and not to have to, because we're so taught to behave a certain way. Well, if I'm not happy at this moment, you know, am I allowed to, am I in a safe space to be able to put that forward, just to say I'm feeling really unsafe in doing this? Is it okay if I go and breathe, or I go and do this? But we're not taught to speak up for ourselves. So, you know, it's about us being the change. And by allowing that, I think our workplaces would work so differently, because we're allowed to be our individual, unique, spectacular self.
Yeah.
It ripples out. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Being the example, being the change, and being the first to say, I need this for me. Yeah, this is, and it's going to give you, when you give to yourself, then you can give to the work, right? Or you can be more focused in school. And I was mortified to hear the other day that my grandson, who's just started school, was told that no, he couldn't use the bathroom until it was time. And I'm like, what? Times have not changed. Like, this is a 5-year-old. Like, where's the balance? Where's the, it's just like, I remember that as a child, we couldn't even put a hand up and ask, you know, we knew that we had to wait, and, you know, that's not healthy. And I feel that, you know, this is in the school.
Well, it minimizes, doesn't it? It creates that restriction within ourselves.
Absolutely, 100%. And I just, so being the change, being the first, putting your hand up and speaking, you know, what is going to be fulfilling for you, and what's going to get most of your productivity and focus and all the things in the workplace. But I keep going back to school and institutions because it's just oh dear. Okay, so next question. Mindfulness can involve paying attention to the present moment without judgment. We started with this, which is beautiful. And how can we overcome common barriers like a wandering mind, or the self-criticism, you know, the monkey mind, when we're practicing mindfulness? And we tapped into a few of those areas already, but we could extend a little bit. That would be awesome. How about we start with Christina?
Yes, well, I think there's a bit of an onus on, you know, we should quieten our mind, and we should focus our mind, and we should not let criticism in. And there's a lot of shoulds there. And, you know, being able to just relax into it. You don't want to create this sort of process where it becomes stressful to do the process. You want it to be something you can just, someone said earlier, fall into, just drop into, just, you know, enjoy the process. So I guess, you know, going back to the breathing again, you know, we reiterate that over and over. I teach people to anchor. I teach them a breathing process, and then I ask them to anchor that to something. So it could be as soon as their feet touch the floor in the morning, before they do anything else, to practice their breathing. And then when they sit on the side of the bed again at night, to practice their breathing, dropping into that mindfulness. Some people tell me that they do that in the car before they go into work. And as you were saying, wouldn't it be a wonderful world if everybody, you know, at the start of the school day, or at the start of the work day, everybody practiced dropping it, breathing, dropping into mindfulness. What am I feeling? Being aware of whatever thoughts are coming up, paying attention to them, you know. So how can you overcome a wandering mind or self-criticism? I don't think you should worry about that, because from my perspective, you want to be aware of the thoughts And if the self-criticism is coming up, then where are you not feeling good enough? You know, I think as Targa was talking about, you know, what's this trigger that's coming up? So yeah, I guess it's again back to that awareness. Just be aware. Don't worry about the wandering mind, the monkey mind.
I was talking and I was muted because they're all like indicators of what we need to look at, right? What we need to see to heal, to feel, to heal, like Denise talks about, you know, that place of an opportunity rather than a barrier. Yeah, because the mind is going to do what it's going to do. That's what it does.
Yeah. And if you're sitting before you go into work and you're sitting and you're breathing and you're dropping into whatever's coming up for you and you're thinking, I really hate this job, then that's an important message to be listening to, you know?
Yeah.
Because that thought is going to then create your outcomes, which are possibly going to be, you know, illness or not performing well at work or dissatisfaction. So yeah, listening
and dissatisfaction and all of the things that opens up all possibilities for change, doesn't it, when people are aware of this? So that's beautiful. Thanks, Christina. And no shoulds. We coulds, but not shoulds. Sandra, do you want to share there?
Well, I really like what Christina said, because I completely agree. If you think about the planet moving right now and how it has momentum, you know, to say I'm going to stop the mind from thinking is the same concept that I'm going to stop the planet from moving. Like, that is not possible. The mind is just going to rotate. Its job is to rotate, revolve, and seek out through the senses, you know, and an untrained mind just does just that. It doesn't know how to become one-pointed and how to focus on the breathing. I'd say be, just like Christina said, like, let that go. Just be present with your breathing. Let the rest of it go. You know, the mind comes and it just comes up and it says things and it does things. And if really important messages come forward, you know, be aware of them. But natural processes of what the mind does, trying to say, I'm going to stop those, that seems like insane. So just be kind to yourself when you're being mindful, right? Like kind, like you're breathing. Your breath is always kind to you, and you did nothing to earn it. It was gifted to you by grace. And flowing into that grace, like in the moments when you're in pain, or you are angry, or you're afraid of money, or you need healing, like that great being called breath is always with you.
I love that. I love that. And this is the work you teach as a meditation facilitated teacher. You've done 2 decades of just being still and watching that, like there's a process, isn't there? I've done lots of years of meditation as well. And it's like you eventually just drop in because the thoughts don't control you anymore. But the first step for me was to just witness them, just watch them and find them fascinating. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's funny, you know, and have fun with it, the process. So yeah, thank you for sharing that piece, Sandra. That's beautiful. Targa.
Oh, there's so much here. I reckon I've taken so many breaths in this hour. Just every time someone says, yes, that's right. Good. I think probably the 2 things that really stand out for me and really just drill at home is just curiosity. Like, I used to be afraid of the thoughts, but now I realize the wisdom that there is something in there somewhere. And so then this ability to have discernment, like you say, over which should I pay attention to? Which can I let go? Oh, that's something, okay, no, let's, you know, and as you get older, like me, you know, some of that reminiscing just keeps going around in circles, and then you start going on this whole thing, you can't get sleep all night. But when you learn to discern, okay, so that's really interesting. What's that about? What's happening there? And I've now become more open to that. Just a quick story. When I was first diagnosed with breast cancer, 39 was my first diagnosis. That was 18 years ago. My background, I'm a Samoan, so Pacific Islander. And so, you know, first generation coming to New Zealand, big smoke of New Zealand and Australia. And of course, so a lot of my aunties and that are still from villages and things. And I had a visit from my auntie and she said to me, what's happening? What's wrong? And I said, oh, I've got breast cancer. I've just been diagnosed. And she said, no. And this is her island way of saying it. You are holding something in you that your body is trying to tell you, and now it's eating itself because you're not listening to it. There's something in there. And I put that down to just old school, you know, lady in the wops just going off. But that's the one thing that stuck with me, because as I went through my recovery journey, there were lots of things that I realized I had been holding in my body and not taking notice or suppressing that. And so just now having that muscle to be able to say, oh, that's interesting, let that pass, let that go by, dodge it, you know, the old, and just capture the ones that you think, you know what, I think this might be taking me closer. I need to pay attention to this one. This is taking me closer to that mountain that I want to get to. So that muscle of discernment is really important.
Wow. Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Targa, because it really does resonate with what happens if you aren't paying attention and being present and following your passions and dreams. And it's a wake up, isn't it? So thank you. The wisdom in your thoughts. Amazing. We have one last question, but we've got 10 minutes to go. So I'm wondering if anyone wants to jump in, and maybe Denise, you can jump in on this one. And share, you know, are there any misconceptions or myths about mindfulness that you would like to address or share with the audience that could be, you know, help them, you know, with the underlying practice of mindfulness, with, you know, really going there? Some key principles, perhaps. What could you talk into that for a moment?
Yeah, I'd love to share, you know, and Targo, you brought it up beautifully with your breast cancer, because energy is energy. Everything is energy. Everything on this earth is an energy. So even our words we speak, our thoughts are energy, not just our words, even our thoughts of energy. So they have an impact of everything around us. It goes out into the world. We just think, oh, okay, I live in my small place or my big place, and that's as far as I go. But no, we go out to the rest of the world. We go out into the universe. Energy carries. So what you think will carry on, and it will touch other people who are in that vibrational level. So, and, you know, and the more we come back to ourselves and feel what's going on with the emotions, with the way we speak to ourselves, how we go out into the world, what my body's saying, then our vibration rises. Then we're a lot healthier, we're a lot happier, and then that touches everybody else as well. And everything we do, say, speak, whatever it is, gives everybody else the opportunity to do exactly the same. We think we don't matter, but we do. We're such an integral part of this planet, and we're integral to every other person on this planet. You matter. You're extremely important.
Oh, that's just gotten to my heart. That's beautiful. Thank you, Denise. I'm so grateful you brought that piece about vibration into it, and how we think and feel, and the words we use. The words are our wand, right? And the way we speak, and how that impacts everything and everyone around us. And I know a lot of people find it difficult to do things for themselves. They're more, you know, a lot of people, especially empaths, are all giving and doing things for other people. But when you can put it in the perspective of doing it because it's actually affecting everyone else around you, flip it on its head and say, well, we're doing this for me because it's actually helping other people outside of me, is a really powerful way to experience life. Essentially.
You can't change the world, but you can change yourself, which changes the world.
Ooh, absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much for bringing that to the table. It's so important to understand that. So anybody else want to open up and share their last words of wisdom, little golden nuggets that you'd like for the audience to know that we haven't shared today? Please open your mics and feel free. And then I'll give you a moment to share a little bit about your offer if you have one today as well. Nope. Okay. All right. Well, let's just dive into the offers then, and what you are offering our audience or in the Sacred You community with your beautiful gifts and your expertise. Please go ahead. Denise, would you like to start?
Yeah, I just love to share what I know. And yeah, just jump on a call with me, 90 minutes, figure out where you're going. I'm happy just to kickstart you, just to get to know yourself, really a part to start your path. And if you're already on your path and you've got blocks, I'm happy to work through that to teach you how to do that yourself. Yeah.
What a gorgeous offer. Thank you so much. Target?
So I'm creating an app. You'll know about this, Joanne. It's called Plony, and it's actually a trauma-informed approach to money literacy. So it brings in money behavior, and it also brings in budgeting. So we know that more than 50% of hardworking families are not able to budget, or have tried to budget and it hasn't worked. So there's a lot of judgment on that. So this app is meant to really bring down a lot of the barriers in terms of people not being able to access support. So please reach out, follow me. The launch isn't going to happen for about 6 weeks, but this is version 2. So we're just wanting to get as many eyeballs on it so that I build it out based on what's needed out there, what makes sense, what's too much, what's too little, and making it short, sharp, fun, educational pieces as well. So that's called Plony. And yeah, look, if you just want to follow my page for now, we'll start the post on that shortly.
Yes, and all the links will be in the comments, everybody watching, so you can connect with these beautiful ladies through those links. And Plony, what a great name for a money app. I'm excited to have a look at version 2, Target. Thank you. All righty. Christine?
Yeah, coming in May, I have a new cohort for my program. Will start. The program's called Weightless Women, and it's about taking that burden of all those shoulds off you. So I often have clients who come to see me who say, I should be dieting and I should be exercising and I should be doing so many things and I just can't. And I say, scrap that. Let's just see what's going on. You know, as Targa said, what is the message? And I've said this repeatedly. What is the message behind what is happening in your life? And the outcomes, you know, Denise said we all start, we're energy, but everything starts as a thought. So what are you thinking repetitively that's getting you the outcomes that you're getting? So I work through a process with women, you know, where we look at thoughts, we look at behaviors, habits, what skills do they already have that they could apply to this journey where they want to be a better version of themselves. So yeah, Weightless Women goes for 12 weeks. And part of that is a bit of accountability in there as well for people to come back and sort of talk about, you know, well, this is where I came up against a barrier and I want to overcome that barrier. And you know, I help them work through that. So that's, yeah, my offer at the moment.
Beautiful. And your links will be in the comments for anyone that wants to join your waitlist. Or it just came. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be a wait list for that, because who doesn't want to get back to mindfulness and do all the things All right. Thanks, Christina. And Sandra, last but not least.
Thank you. Hi. So they can book a discovery call for me. It's free. It's like a curiosity discovery call on mindfulness, meditation, or even blocks to the awareness of who and what they are. And that's found on my website, The 4 Attitudes. My book is available there as well. And I have a free newsletter called Divine Times, and that is bite-sized chunks it's free, into daily mindfulness practices.
Wow, that's amazing. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today. What a beautiful, important, really important conversation of mindfulness and coming back to the present self and all who you are. And any questions, pop them in the comments, and hook up with the ladies that have been doing this work for a long, long time. And if you want to connect with me, my links will also be in the comments. And I offer also a call where you can, a 30-minute frequency session actually, where you can tap into one of the areas of your life that you want to shift. And together we'll do a 30-minute session on that and support you with whatever you need. But you'll find me in the comments as well. So thank you again, ladies. It's been an absolute joy and pleasure connecting with you, beautiful souls. And keep up the practice and keep up the great work in the gifts that you're sharing with the world. Thank you so much.
And can I just say, first of all, Jo, before we say goodbye to Facebook and everyone else, can I just say thank you and congratulations for doing a wonderful job at facilitating this thing. Stuart, you're in the wrong Zoom room.
Should I be in two?
No, you should be in room 1.
I thought this was room 1. Sorry about the crashing.
It's okay. We're just doing a panel discussion. It's okay.
Okay.
But anyway, this is a wonderful thing that happened, and we've lost Jo as well. We have lost Jo. Oh my God, we've lost Jo. Anyway, we'll do that. Anyway, but Jo's gone, but all our beautiful panelists are here. So thank you ever so much. Denise and Tanga and Sandra, and Christina. We're just having fun with not only do we have a full moon, but we had anyway, we had something a couple
lunar
months ago.
eclipse,
wasn't it?
Lunar eclipse, thank you.
Wow.
We have some crazy energy going on today and lots of things. But anyway, thank you ever so much. And thank you, Jo, for that. And for everyone who is watching, come and connect with us. Come and have some fun, crazy fun with tech and everything else. Come and join us just for $1 US. You get to try out all our tribes for 2 weeks, including Jo's amazing tribe on empowering yourself to live our best life. It is incredible. Plus, we've got so many other tribes, which we won't go into, but click on the links below. And we will see you next time for our next panel discussion, which is coming up in April, which isn't very far away. And thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, hold on. 1 second.